G'day everyone, welcome back to another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I hope you are well. So far I know we've only got, oh no, I've just seen Alexandria jump in. Alexandria, I don't know where you're from, because I was just about to say so far I've only got two Aussies in the in the chat, but Alexandria, maybe you could let us know in the chat where you hail from. Welcome to the live chat again. And hello to Mr. Fomiati and to the wonderful Lynn, who is moderating today. I hope you are all well. It is cold here today. and you're all, those of you in the Northern Hemisphere, many of you are about to, have your usual snigger at me for my level of acclimatization to cold, but it's around about 19 degrees Celsius. That for Brisbane, that's a cool day. I know. I'm quite pathetic, but it's just cold, and because we're not used to cold weather here, and I know again it's not cold, Daniel, but because we're not used to the temperature dropping lower than the 20s, we're kind of not built for it. So I've actually got something that I never do. I've got the heater on here in the studio at a very low setting, but just enough to take the edge off the air. So, oh, Alexandria is from Orland Park, Illinois. Hey, well, hello to you from Illinois. It'll be quite late where you are, I would have thought. Alexandria, and Linda is saying that is the perfect temperature. Yes, well, Linda, not all of us are acclimatized to Hobart type weather, it must be said. It's funny because when I went, as many of you know, I went skiing a few weeks back, something I love to do, and now none of this is going to make sense, because you go, you're cold in 20 degrees Celsius, Daniel, what are you skiing? Skiing is because you're when you ski, you're wearing all the right gear, right? Like this is so skiing is kind of, I don't know, you're just all good. Anyway, so, but it was funny when we got to where we stay for our skiing, a place called Jindabyne, lovely little sort of snow village, which I adore Jindabyne. When you get there at the beginning of the week, you're all rugged up because it's quite cold. By the time you leave a week later, I always find that I'm walking around in, not shorts and shirts, but certainly less layers, because you kind of do acclimatize to these things over time. Greetings from the Philippines. Hello, Yay Diaz. Welcome. And I'm just seeing some others here. Disha Dzar. Is that how I pronounce your name? I wish I get some cold right now too. Yeah, many of you in the world are battling through really hot weather at the moment, aren't you? Like crazy hot. And so make sure you remain hydrated, make sure you get into cool, give your body opportunity to get the core temperature down, all while I try to get my core temperature up. That's the crazy thing about us being able to do that, right? Do this. Where I'm sitting here in subtropics, Brisbane, Australia, middle of winter, and you're all over the world in different circumstances, and it's so good that we can connect. And I'm seeing some new names in the live chat. I wonder whether these new names are coming about because, for those of you who have subscribed to the channel for quite some time, you will know that I've just started doing what do we call them? Reaction videos. I call mine more vocal analysis videos, but they sit in the same genre. And, as I suspected, those videos have been going gangbusters, getting tens of thousands of views. And I'm really keen to get your feedback as my community here at Voice Essentials as to what you're getting out of them, what you're getting out of the analysis videos. I am trying to make sure they are educational, that we are learning from them. We are not for the most part, we're not an entertainment channel here at Voice Essentials. We are an education, a learn to sing channel where everybody sings, as we regularly say. And our big belief here at Voice Essentials is if you know more, you can sing more. And what I'm enjoying about these, which I must admit I didn't expect to, but I am enjoying the aspect of the reaction / vocal analysis videos about doing some deep dives into some of these voices. And many of you may have already seen it. If you haven't, I encourage you to go and see. I've done 2 videos on a Filipino singer. Her name is Morissette. She's brilliant. Like, she really is, you know, A class. And when someone like a David Foster, who is a songwriter, pianist, amazing musician, when someone like David Foster is identifying you as a standout voice, he's working with singers from across the globe constantly. When someone like David recognizes you as a standout, you've got something. And I've just thoroughly enjoyed, you know, engaging with her voice and analyzing it and, you know, highlighting those things that she does so well. And so that's, I'm just going to get rid of that. That's it's my daughter trying to ring me. So anyway, that has been quite good. So I really hope you are enjoying the vocal analysis videos, the reaction videos, and I'm hoping that you are learning something. That's the key. You know, that's what I want. You know, I'm an educator at heart, and I want us to learn together. And the one we're looking at this week that'll go live, it's Friday midnight my time. For you, it'll be different. We're looking at pentatonics and a live performance that they do recently on the Ellen Show. And it's fantastic as well. So make sure you keep an eye out for that. As I said, when I started doing these reaction videos a couple of months ago, that does not mean we're going to completely shift the orientation or the focus of the channel from being education. We're going to continue to do these live hangouts. Today we're doing a Q&A where you're going to ask your questions, and I do want you to start putting your questions. If you're new to this show and this community, what you do is you throw your questions into the live chat. Linda, our moderator, will grab your questions, put them into a Word document, a Google document for me, which I can see off to my left, and we'll just talk through them, and I answer your vocal questions to the best of my ability. And yeah, so that we're going to continue to do these live hangouts. We'll continue to do mini topics. Next week we're going to do a mini topic. In fact, between now and September, we're going to kind of do Q&As and mini topics, and then when we come back in October, we'll be doing, we'll have more special guests. Hey, wasn't our special guest last week just fantastic? Brenda Earl Stokes. She is a highly accomplished singing teacher / piano teacher, and it was just really good to be once again inspired around self-accompaniment. And if this is not something that you already do, go and check out last week's live after we hang out today. Go and check it out, because there was some really powerful information in that video that Brenda shared with us all, and that was great. So we so we're not going to be changing that. And then in the midweek on a what is a Wednesday midnight here in Australia, I release a pre-recorded video, sort of more very hardcore educational kind of video, and then, as I said, on the at the end of the week, I release a new reaction / analysis video. So that's 3 videos a week. We'll see. It's a big load, but we're, you know, I'm committed to sort of wanting to really keep delivering this information to you, and I hope you're enjoying it. I hope you're really being able to engage and learn. As I say, learn education is the core driver of this channel, and I hope that's what you're getting out of it. We've got a whole man. The chat's already gone pretty wild. So what we're going to do is we're going to get straight into our Q&A. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Okay, let's get into our live excuse me, live Q&A. And what you do, if you've not done this before, if you've not joined us before, we do go through and chronologically as the questions come in, and I think we've already got some questions coming through from today's live chat. If you what we do is we prioritize super chats. So if you absolutely must have your question answered today, then please leave a super chat. It's always gratefully received. It goes towards, the channel and the running of the channel. If you leave a super chat, I will then prioritize your question, and it'll come straight like a VIP pass, if you will, and it comes up the line, and we answer your question for you. Let's jump in here. I think this is our first question. Let's see if I can find it. Hang on a second. I think this is our first question from Sawan JJ. I always give your name a go, but I do ask your forgiveness if I get your name terribly wrong, because this Aussie guy sometimes really struggles with the pronunciation of names that are foreign to me. I have a question. How long does it take to smooth out the bump between registers? That bump, these days we refer to it as a transition. The classical people used to call it a passaggio, translated passage. Unfortunately, it's also been called things like a break, where there's almost this gap between the voice moving from low to high or high to low. And we get that sort of flip. How long it takes to smooth that bump out, let's call it a transition, is really dependent on a number of different things. Because transitions, register transitions, are managed via the coordination of musculature. So being able to manage two sets of muscles, thyroarytenoid and cricothyroid musculature, but also in how that is managed in accordance with the resonance, the acoustics of the sound as it moves through the vocal tract, as the sound is filtered, and the interplay of what is some backflow of resonance, because our vocal tract is our sound is non-linear, and so we get some interplay of the acoustic being produced back on the oscillation of the vocal folds, and we hear that interaction quite significantly at these points of transition. The other thing that's at play here too is breath management and your ability to manage your air consistently, evenly, in a balanced manner. And so there's a number of things going on there. You can, I guess, understand where I'm leading us here is that it really comes down to our ability as individuals to manage the multiplicity of those three events, and probably a number of other things going on at the same time, to be able to manage those transitions and smooth them out. It's interesting because smoothing, and I actually do have a video about and I think the video is called smoothing out your breaks or something like that. The challenge of smoothing that out is In contemporary voice, it's not an absolute necessity that you smooth them out. You might be wanting to make the choice to smooth them out, and that's completely acceptable. In classical singing, they absolutely must be smoothed out. There is not an if, but, or maybe. It is a requirement in classical singing to be able to manage that passaggio, that movement between upper and lower register, in a completely, almost as if it is not there sort of way. In contemporary vocal, though, when we're not that categoric. There's not a dictate on, you absolutely should not be able to hear it or you should be able to hear it. It really comes down to your stylistic choice. And from your question, Swan JJ Chow, I'm thinking you probably do want to smooth them out. And so learning to manage those three areas is certainly going to be where you want to start. And within the Voice Essentials program, you will find a number of exercises designed to take you through that process. But my pathway that I've designed is about building layer upon layer, building skill upon skill. And so you do have to, there's another one that we would need to have in place also in learning to do this, is your body alignment. Your tension management needs to be really quite well placed as well. So if you're not already enrolled in the online program, I'd encourage you to go and check it out at, it's coming across the screen right now, voiceessentials.com.au. I'm going to come over to Disa Noose, I think. Is that the right pronunciation? What advice would you give someone trying to develop their whistle register? Ooh, this is a kind of, I don't know whether you realize, but you've actually kind of asked a controversial question. You may not think of it as being controversial. Let's not make it controversial. Let's just respond to it as I would normally. And that is, whistle register is a very particular, very specific posture of the vocal folds, where only the first, I think it's the first third of the vocal folds, from memory, I'm doing this from memory, are oscillating. And it might be the first 2/3. Now that I say that, I'm doubting myself. Anyway, it's a very particular posture of the vocal folds. And there is a lot of evidence to suggest that only a small portion of the population are able to produce whistle tone in a healthy, sustainable manner. I have seen a number of videos on YouTube suggesting that you can learn to do it. And in each of those cases, I'm remembering, and I'm not going to mention who they are or what they are, but in each of those cases, I have had my concerns about the manner in which the instruction was leading the voice, around sustainability, around vocal health, because like I said, if we were to pull the textbooks off the shelf, of which I have many, the most recent and up-to-date understanding around whistle register is that there aren't many. It's a minority of people who can do it. I can't do it. I can't produce whistle tone. Do you know what? It's super impressive, and in fact, in one of the most recent analyses that I've just done with Morissette, if you want to see someone doing whistle tone in the most artistically, stylistically appropriate way, she's your jam. Like I have to admit, often when we see whistle tone used, it is often, not always, but often it's sort of like, I don't know, it just comes across as a bit crass, as a little bit show-offish, in the sense of that didn't actually make any stylistic sense to do that. You just did it because you can. And in my humble opinion, that's kind of not the point. But not Morissette. Morissette uses it just beautifully. Please go and check out my analysis video of her performance of Akin Na Kal Na Lung. I think that's the name of the song. Again, I'm not Filipino, so you'll have to forgive me, but it's applied. Her whistle tone is majestic and stylistically appropriate, and that's the thing. So try, if you are a person that can produce whistle tone, that it is and the suggestion from the textbooks that I've read is that it's sort of a bit like your DNA. So it's driven by your DNA. So some people can roll their tongue, some people can't, genetically. And so the suggestion is that it's a genetically driven thing, that some people, a minority can, if you are a person who Disa, if you are a person you can produce it, but you want to develop it, then you're going to want to really manage your airflow around this. You're going to want to manage your tension management, and you're going to want to do it in a manner that is applied in a very balanced, very efficient manner, but don't, especially when you're starting out, don't overdo it. Whistle tone, again, is not where you need to be spending the majority of your time, and therefore you want to be sure that you're not overdoing it, overusing it, because I think you could find yourself creating some wear and tear, in part driven by that very specific posture that the vocal folds have to activate to do that. So Rashid, he just made it back to the front of the handle. Actual name Rashid. Okay, that's what Disa Noose is. Anyway, I hope. I'm going to come back. I think there's another question. Actually, I'm going to come back. There's a question that was asked a couple of weeks ago, and I just want to come back to it because I thought it was a really good question from Ananth Sahas. So I'm just going to come back here. And the question was, is it necessary to warm up before doing vocal exercises? And the reason this question jumped out at me is because actually it's a question that I got asked last week by a student, and a student that I was teaching here in the studio. And the answer to that question is no. It generally is not going to be necessary. Now, the reason for that is vocal exercises will warm the voice, but vocal warm-up activities won't necessarily exercise the voice. Let me explain. When we're vocally warming up, all we're doing is preparing the voice for performance load. That's what we're doing. What that requires is a movement and an activity of the musculature. It's getting the muscles moving, it's getting the blood flow going, preparing the muscles for load. And you can do that mindlessly. You don't actually need to be thinking about that. So when I'm bumping in to do a gig, I'll be warming up. I'll be humming. I'll be doing, there's my lunch. We've been doing some lip bubbles and going through my warm-up regime, my process of 5 to 10 minutes of preparing my voice for use. I'm not thinking about that. This is the great thing about a warm-up regime that you always do because you've always done, is you don't have to think about it. You just go through the process. And by the time I then get to doing a sound check or singing through some songs, I'm warm, I'm toned, I'm ready to go. Vocal exercises are not that. Vocal exercises, workshopping the voice, is a completely different animal. And that is, you do need to be mindful. You do need to be present in the moment. You can't be thinking about, what am I going to be having for dinner, or, gee, I'm upset about what Jenny said. You do need to be in the moment, in your activity, because when you are workshopping the voice, you are exercising and developing very specific areas of your vocal technique. And you are going to get so much more bang for buck when you are present. Yeah? Now, the beautiful thing about that is when we have a process that we're working through, like a pathway, like Voice Essentials, it will naturally tone your voice. We generally, often in a learning pathway, certainly this is the case in Voice Essentials, the exercises start relatively easy and they gradually get more challenging as you go along. And that, in turn, is warming and preparing the voice for use and for more complex activities further down the track. And so it's really important that you understand the difference between the two. A vocal warm-up is not a vocal workout, but a vocal workout can be a vocal warm-up. So I hope that was clear. Sometimes I'm listening to myself wondering, gee, I hope I make sense. Okay, let's come back down here. We're going to get a couple more questions in. We've got another one here from second question from this. Oh, I've got to find it, everyone. I've got to find it. Oh, okay. This is Oh, this question here. Another one. If we practice singing every day for 2 hours a day, would 1 year be reasonable or longer? I think. Look, can I say to you, because I think I know what you're getting at here, is if you can practice more, will you get there quicker? And I would challenge you to maybe rethink your approach. Firstly, when we're first starting out with our vocal development, singing for 2 hours every day, in my humble yet educated opinion, is not wise. We need to actually build stamina over time. Otherwise, because we're building fitness to the task. I've shared the example of if I were to decide to run a marathon, 42 kilometers, and I decided I was going to do it at the end of the week, there's no way I'm going to be able to do that, despite the fact that even now I regularly work out. I was at the gym this morning. I'll play a social team sport tomorrow night called touch football. For my age, I'm relatively fit, but to run a marathon is a completely different task. And for your voice to sing 2 hours every day, that is at the very least, a vocal half marathon, and that's a big ask. When we start out developing the voice, my encouragement is to always start out with every second day for 20 minutes, and then every week up that by 5 minutes until you can practice every second day for around about an hour-ish, give or take. And then as you move on, you can maybe add an extra day into that mix, but we're still always advocating for 1 to 2 days of rest, vocal rest. So important for your voice care, your vocal health. I cannot impress upon you strongly enough just how important vocal rest is into the maintenance of your vocal health. It is, if there, a lot of people would have avoided a lot of issues vocally had they simply had the opportunity or made the choice to rest the voice, to give it some downtime. So we certainly shouldn't be doing that. Now, would 1 year be, if you're practicing your question, I'm going to come back to the essence of your question. If I do more, will I get there quicker? Well, firstly, as developing singers, we're lifelong learners. We actually never arrive. There is no destination. You might have goals. You might have the goal of being able to do a 4-hour gig, 4 sets in a night. You might have the goal to do that by the end of the year. Then that's going to be very different and have very different requirements of preparation than if you just simply wanted to sing publicly one song for the first time in your life by the end of the year. And so we have to determine what are the goals, but not with the view of to how quickly can I get there, because again, you run the risk of really wearing and tearing at the voice, and that will only undermine your achievement of those goals, whatever they may be. So let me answer a question that you haven't really asked. Well, it might be embedded in what we can see there on screen, but I'm often asked, how long does it take to learn to sing? That in itself is a big question, but my response to that in really simple terms is it will take between 18 months to 2 years to bed down a really foundational, secure, contemporary technique. And you go, 18 months to 2 years, that's ridiculous. And you click away because you think, this guy. It is a bit of a surprise to some people, particularly in the modern age where we're constantly being told we can have everything yesterday, it'll come to you quicker and cheaper. And to my knowledge, we haven't learnt to circumnavigate human biology. Humans, in our lifetime aren't evolving. We are as we see us, and that is our muscle development, our muscle, muscle memory, all of these things take time. And I think most of us understand that if I wanted to learn guitar, let's just say guitar, not even piano, guitar on one level is an easier instrument to learn to play, competently than even the piano would be. But even that is going to develop a level of competency where you are really proficient in the instrument. Pretty good understanding. That's going to take some time. And yet we don't tend to apply the same understanding around singing for some reason, despite the fact that it is acknowledged, the human voice is widely acknowledged, that it is arguably one of the most difficult instruments on the face of the planet to become proficient in. That doesn't mean you can't learn to do it, and everyone can learn to sing. But in that statement of everyone can learn to sing, which I wholeheartedly believe in, with a great level of sincerity and authenticity, it's another thing to become highly proficient in singing. And they're two different things. And so laying that foundational technique will take you, as I said, between 18 to 24 months of consistent, measured, so not 2 hours every day, consistent, measured, well-designed practice and pathway, and that will get you along there. I've got this question that I'm going to come back here because we've just had an interesting question come in here from Yay Diaz, and I think this is an interesting question because she's my hot topic at the moment, is Morissette. What do you think of Morissette's vocal ability? I think it's outstanding. I really do. And I've done quite a few of these analyses videos. Please go and check out others other than Morissette. You will have seen me make my job as a singing voice specialist. Every day of my working life, I am critiquing voices. That's what I do. Not to be judgmental, not to be critical, but typically it's in order to be able to help a singer develop through certain technical challenges, and at times vocal health challenges as well. So you will see me on my vocal analyses videos making assessment that some people, I think, wrongly mishear my view or my insight as being harsh or judgmental or hating on the singer. These are the reasons why I've avoided doing these videos for so long, because I think a lot of people may not understand what it is that we singing teachers do all day, and that I've been doing for nearly 30 years of assessing voices. And so we, educated and experienced singing teachers, here's the thing, we actually hear things that some people, the general populace, don't hear. And you'd hope that would be the case. Otherwise, why would people come to us and ask us to help them? Not only do we hear things that others don't hear, we often have some answers. I saw a great quote the other day shared from a fellow singing teacher. And it basically said, I'm paraphrasing, but it basically said, the definition of a singing teacher: a person with the answers to the questions that you didn't even realize you had. I thought, yeah, that's true. Sometimes I am pointing out things in a person's voice that they didn't even realize they were doing. Sometimes that's good, sometimes not so. Anyway, so that's often what we're doing in the vocal analyses videos. When it comes to Morissette, she and I would like to think, though, I do come to these analysis videos with certain assumptions, often educated assumptions, but assumptions nonetheless. I would like to assume that Morissette is a very mindful, very intentional singer. In my opinion, from what I can see and hear, she's making choices that are sort of beyond simple intuition. There are certain stylistic choices, certain technical applications that when I hear her doing what she's doing, I go, man, I'm fairly confident she made the choice to do that. This is not just a singer who's opening her mouth and hoping for the best. Her material is and her performances are far too landscaped. They're far too crafted for them to just be per chance. And so when I think about her vocal ability, I also am then led to think that she's also been intentional. And I don't know whether she has had singing lessons, whether she's having singing lessons, whether her instruction has been formal or informal, whether it's been through her educational process at the school, or but there seems to be a lot of intentionality behind her singing. And and the other thing, and I'll say this here because I don't think I said it on the video, but I'll say it just here just to be on record as saying, I also understand that my review of her voice is, and I can't get past this, is driven by a personal preference that leans me towards her sound. I love the sound of her voice. There are other singers who are, who display equal, if not higher, levels of technical prowess, who are equally as good from a vocal standpoint, that I don't have an artistic preference towards. And that doesn't actually make Morissette better than anyone else just because I like her sound. This is the beautiful thing about singing, right? Is that, somewhere on the planet, someone will like your vocal sound. There are, what are we climbing towards? 7-8 billion people on the planet. I think, is it 7? Are we up to 7 billion or 8? Somewhere, someone will love your sound. And, even if the people immediately around you may not like it, there's someone on the planet that does. Ones like Morissette, I think the majority of us love her sound. But there's been a couple of comments in the videos of people saying, I don't like her sound. And that's completely fine. That's music. That's art. That's okay. That doesn't mean the person who doesn't like her sound is nasty, or, I mean, obviously you can say that in a nasty, trolling kind of way. And the comment I'm thinking of, I didn't think it was nasty or trolling, and so I didn't delete it, because I do delete trolls from my video comments. It was just an expression of preference, and that's cool. It's only singing, people. This is not a matter of life and death. This is not, war or famine or pandemic. This is just singing. It's just art, and it's important that we always remember that, because otherwise we're kind of getting everything out of kilter, aren't we? We might end on that, because I'm looking down at the time and going, wow, okay, we do need to finish. Anthony, I've just seen your question very quickly, Anthony. I do want to, let's answer your question, Anthony. We'll have to be quick. Hi, I'm a professional dancer and I'm trying to learn strong singing technique. I struggle with opening my throat. Any advice? Anthony, being a dancer who sings is challenging. It is. My very strong advice to you is to get personalized instruction from an experienced, qualified singing teacher, because dancers are having to manage tension, muscular tension, that you don't want, that has come about by virtue of your dance. You're dancing. You're holding your body in very particular ways that we don't want to undo. Equally, you have to learn to manage your tension in a positive way towards your singing. At times, they are juxtaposed. They are almost working against each other, and so you need to work in team with someone to mirror back to you, to show you, to teach you how to do that. And the two things that are going to be a big challenge to you, and you'll go, but you're referring to the struggle of your throat. That's because tension management Your tension management needs to become driven by your breath management, and that again is challenging for a dancer. So that is what I want to advise you to do, Anthony. I hope you take that up, because that'll be of great benefit to you if you can do that. Well, peeps, there you go. Another live hangout here at Voice Essentials. I hope you're enjoying them as much as we've been doing these live hangouts for a very, very long time. And we're just going to keep rolling them out, because you keep asking the questions, and when you keep asking the questions, I'm going to do my best to answer your questions. And I think we were able to do that today. Next week, we're going to do a mini topic. We're actually going to do the mini topic that we did about 7 weeks ago. That was an ill-fated show. Remember, the show fell over because of technical issues? I'm feeling confident to revisit that. We're going to do that again. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, then next week will just be a completely new show to you. If you do know what I'm talking about, next week will be a new show, because I'm going to go through it again, and I'll end up saying completely fresh stuff. So I hope you can hang out with us. We do these live hangouts every Monday, Australian Eastern Standard Time, my time, here in Brisbane, Australia, at 1 p.m. The best way for you to get notified is to subscribe, hit the white bell icon, and that way YouTube's going to send you a notification to remind you that we're going live. But as I said, we always have another 2 videos in the week. They're pre-records, and I hope you'll take a chance to watch them. And yeah, let me know how you say hello in the comments. Dear me, I'm going to turn off now because I'm starting to stumble over my words. Have a great week, everyone. I'll see you again next week. I'm Dr. Dan. Sing well.